All right, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so today's the day. Today's the day. Okay, so Saturn is conjunct Neptune and entering in Aries. Okay, for you, what this means is going to be more based upon where your Aries is on your birth chart. And before you say I don't have Aries, everybody has Aries, okay? So you have to look at this. For example, for me, Aries is my 11th house. This is the house of communication with friends, social stuff, okay? The outside sort of energy here. And I already have Chiron, which is the wounded healer type of planet, right? So showing me where I needed healing. And also I have Jupiter there. Now I have Neptune and the energy of Saturn, okay, doing its thing. Not to mention I'm an Aquarius moon. So I have Pluto sitting in my 9th house of Aquarius. Okay, so your rising sign can also indicate really where you're going to be pushing forward. But I also want to explain some more messaging, more things that are more timeline oriented, okay? But also that as we move more into this flame era, okay, it's going to be very, very clear to you now that Neptune has moved away from Pisces, okay? It's going to be very, very clear to you who is who, what's what, okay? So this is going to be more about the end of a lot of false spirituality, false structures, people, places, situations, beliefs. If you have integrity, okay, if you have integrity in what you're doing, doesn't matter whether you're a spiritual advisor or teacher or whatever you are, right? If you have integrity in what you're doing and you're literally trying to help people, okay, there is only growth and expansion here for you. The people who are not trying to help you, who are literally trying to deceive you, no matter what section that is, okay, will all naturally, without anyone having to do anything, fall down. It will all dissolve. It's all going to crumble. We're going to see this for a long time now. Now, let me explain. Okay. So this is a great breaking. Let me just call it this, because Neptune, Saturn, Aries, Pluto in Aquarius, there's Uranus moving into Gemini later on this year. We have an eclipse starting off in February 20th, I believe. February 17th, we have the year of the fire horse beginning. So we're at the end of the snake and things shedding off and issues leaving, etc. We have upgrades. We have things that are awakening within us. We are learning how to be very, very strong and powerful. And if you don't know anything about the flame yet, please go and get yourself started using my free Flame Foundation course. It will explain a lot of stuff, gives you a lot for free. A lot of time went into it, so perhaps it's a good place to start, right? So, boy, if you all knew what was coming, you were going to relax a little bit, okay? So, as always, I want to go through my notes because it really just keeps me on track. Otherwise, I start telling all kinds of stories. And anyway, we want to make sure that it's nice and clear here. So, there is something happening on the planet that nobody can ignore. How you feel now, as opposed to how you felt a year ago, you're a completely different person. If you have been really listening, honing in and doing the work, even a little bit of it, you are a completely different person. Something is cracking, dissolving and breaking open inside of people. And many don't know what it is yet. But you do. Okay, you understand. You feel this pressure. You feel that truth rising. You know something's it's about to happen. You feel the split happening in real time. And actually, a couple of years ago is when the split really began to be visible, right? Meaning people who are just staying lost in delusion and just angry and nasty or whatever. They're in one sort of section of the world, and there's us trying to actually be brave and heal and move ahead and understand and get stronger that are doing this, okay? For the first time in over 6,000 years, Neptune, the collective dream, and Saturn, the architect of reality, are meeting at 0 degrees in Aries. A 0 point, a reset, a reckoning. When this happens, every illusion breaks. It won't be me that does it, and I'm not going to be calling out anyone's names, but you're going to start to understand who's who. Today, I'm also going to explain why everything false is crumbling spiritually, the channeling, even some methods of QHHT, false guides, fake teachers, false energy, mimic energy, all of it. And why are the real ones, the flame souls, flame bearers, the architects, you're all being activated right now. You're going to walk out of this transmission that I'm doing today knowing exactly who you are, why you're here, and what the next era of your life is calling you into. Okay, super important. So this is the collapse of the false lights. Why people are absolutely losing their minds right now. Aries, let me just get this for a second. Yes, I have to go out of my own. I knew I was going to have to go out of my notes, so. Okay, so. All right, so. Listen to this, okay. Aries in itself is connected with the inflammatory system of your body, your brain, headaches, okay, stress-related headaches can come up here, migraines, things to do with the head in itself. Some people might get fevers, burnouts, high blood pressure. It's all kind of ruled by Aries, right? Now, with this Aries energy coming in, and it is a driving force, it's like an I am, on the negative downside of that around the globe, you're going to have more, and this is what I meant to mention the other day, you will probably find, okay, that the split between the cuckoo and the ones that are really trying to settle is going to be even bigger because of this Aries energy. People who have mental health issues and talk about it all of the time and don't want to get past it, or people that are constantly talking about these sorts of things, constantly needing attention, constantly complaining, constantly moaning, unfortunately, it may ramp up. People's aggression might get more powerful, people's, fighting amongst each other, and, a lot of action will have to be taken. There will be a lot of, oh God, it's so hard. I'm just going to say it will be a lot of rioting and protests and fighting, possibility of wars and skirmishes and things like that, because these people are staying in that energy of fuel. It's almost like this. They want to feel justified. So there is a negative sense to Saturn in Aries and Neptune moving into Aries as well, is that it can amplify people's negative habits, traits, problems, issues, mental health stuff, all of that. And, there could be something along the lines of something along the lines in the next 20 years or so, right? in the lines on the other side of this of revelations and medical help and support. There's new remedies, there's new technology and things like this. And, you know, there will be help for people to begin to stabilize themselves. But the initial thought is that this is going to like ramp up a lot of the current problems in people feeling that they're wronged all the time, and also feeling that they need to be supported all of the time, right? So in one case, this is going to open a bit, because Neptune can actually increase delusions and delusional behavior and nuttiness. On the other side of things, we have Saturn bringing in a structure, a bit more truth. Some people are going through a return with this, right? And when Saturn comes in, it's teaching you all kinds of lessons and causing you to look at things in a much deeper way. So, that being said, so if you're here by now, you understand that I do like to look something deeper into things. This is a 60-year-old book. Why not? I just want to explain Saturn real quick from this perspective. And this will actually show you as well when we start to look at Saturn, okay, what the true worship has been for a really long time. With all of this Epstein files coming out right now, let me just tell you that it's much deeper than that, and the reason behind it is a lot deeper than what we're shown. Again, it will come out, but let's have a look at Saturn here, because this will explain what's going on a little bit more for you. Okay, I'm getting there. Now, not to mention that this month on the 22nd, I'm doing a Lemurian healing and opening up Vault 222 for more coherence, more strength, okay? If you want to come to the webinars, it is $55 a ticket, that's it. And you get a ton of PDFs, information, help, support, and you'll also be able to access other things if you become a tier member for that price. There's going to be another tier coming up soon that will be focused on vaults, okay, which is more powerful alignments. So anyway, if you want to work with this stuff a little bit more, that's the go-to right now. Now, first, Saturn. Okay, let's listen to a little bit about Saturn. Saturn symbolizes time, which, with its ravenous appetite for life, devours all of its creations, whether they are beings, things, ideas, or sentiments. He is also symbolic of the insufficiency in the mystic sense, or the necessity for the reign of Chronos, to be succeeded by another cosmic mode of existence in which time has no place. Time brings restlessness, the sense of duration lasting from the moment of stimulus up to instant satisfaction. Hence, Saturn is symbolic of activity, of slow, implacable dynamism, of realization and communication. And this is why he is said to have devoured his children. Saturn devoured his children, okay? Connected with Chronos in Greek mythology. Who else likes to do that sort of stuff that you've been reading about? Now bear with me. Now, he is also related to Ouroboros, okay, which is the serpent which bites its own tail. Other attributes of his are the oar, which stands for navigation and progress in things temporal, the hourglass, or, okay, the scythe, okay. The scythe, what is that also connected with, if you know tarot cards? all right? And Saturnus and Saturnalia is also Christmas. Wait, okay, hang on. So in the scythe, we can detect a double meaning. First, its function of cutting, parallel to and corroborating the symbolism of devouring. And secondly, its curved shape, which invariably corresponds to the feminine principle. This is why the alchemists, masters in the spiritual science of symbolism, named Saturn Mercurius Senex. Given the androgynous character of Mercury, Saturn takes on the same characteristic ambiguity of gender and sex, as well as and is related to the Earth. Okay, so everyone's got a problem with the way things are narrated right now. The narrative on gender and sex. Okay, people are fighting over whether this is good or bad or whatever, right? And is related to the earth, the sarcophagus, and putrefaction, as well as to the color black. Merton's Stenon suggests that Saturn is, in every case, a symbol of the law of limitation, which gives shape to life, or the localized expression in time and space of the universal life. Okay, so why the fascination with these types of rituals and things, the things that you're finding in the Epstein files, if you look hard enough, you know, the things about the gender and the identities and who's a boy, who's a girl, whatever. I don't care about any of that, just so you know. But I'm not falling into any system or any side, okay, just so you understand. But isn't it funny how Saturn is the ruler of androgyny? They want a more feminine appearance, a more neutral appearance, like kind of thing, right? Boys being girls, girls being boys, whatever it is, right? Now, these are things that I can't talk about without a huge drama that I don't want. So I'm just mentioning that, isn't it interesting? Saturn is also connected with Satan, and people are talking about rituals and satanic rituals, okay? In the Epstein files, it's been going on for a long time. Now, if they do actually, in actual fact, worship Saturn, it would be then interpreted as Satan, wouldn't it? To our ears, to what we think, negativity and evil is, right? Now, Christmas is at the same time as a festival called Saturnalia, which is pretty interesting, because this was a time where the ritual assassination of a king would happen at certain astral conjunctions or at the end of certain periods, and later for the displacement of this bloody ceremony by its simulacra. In Rome, the Saturnalia was the most outstanding example of such sacrifice and simulacra. Fraser notes that it was a general practice in ancient Italy to elect a man, listen to this, to elect a man to play the parts of Saturn and enjoy all the prerogatives of the god for a while before dying, either through his own hand or by sacrifice. Literally signing up for this. The king of the being, the medieval bishop of fools, the abbot of unreason, and the lord of misrule are all personifications of one and the same thing, and may very well stem from a common source. In every case, they are symbolic of the ideas of duration and sacrifice, whereby by means of inversion and transformation, inversion, okay, a lot of celebrities are not what they appear to be, okay, some boys are girls, some girls are boys, okay, this is part of it, in transformation. The brevity and intensity of life may be contrasted with its vulgar mediocrity. The carnival itself is, in its brevity, a symbol of this desire to concentrate into a given period of time all the possibilities of existence, apart from the fact that, in its orgiastic sense, it is an invocation of primordial chaos and a desperate quest for the way out of time. Now, let me just put that book down. I have been unable to say that for a very long time because of flagging and whatever. I don't care anymore. I'm going to say this sort of stuff. What you are seeing is a progression of a very, very, very ancient festival ritual, okay? And it was literally about sacrifice, okay? And people worshipping this and being okay with this, and also with androgyny, being okay with that. Again, I don't care. I don't care what anyone chooses. Not many people actually do care what people are choosing, right? You live your life how you want to live. The problem I have is that it is pushed upon people who are unwilling or unable to make decisions for themselves. And that is the way of it in the now. So they've changed it from an actual ritual of someone giving, like someone wanting to do it. And look, we can look back in history and see people who wanted to be sacrificed. They felt like it was a great honor. Look at the Vikings. There are many, many cultures that do sacrifices, but the person is usually a willing, a person that wants to do it willingly, right? Forcing this and changing the rules and making it like trying to make themselves be able to change time and to be able to transform into more powerful beings are all part of it. And this was all things that people would be like, are you kidding me right now? Well, this was written in the 1960s. This person doesn't know what's happening right now, right? But then gave all of the information, just how it was, in case anybody was interested. And it's also something that you can look up. It happens at Christmas time, Saturnalia. I talked about it briefly. And instead of it being called this, right? They call it Christmas now and celebrate the King, don't they? Okay? In a different way. There's so much more that is going to start coming out, because this is what Neptune is about too, okay? Neptune is dissolving the bullshit, and Saturn is creating a little bit of a resistance to that. And because it's in Aries, it could send people cuckoo. Okay, if you're not grounded and you don't know how to stabilize, it's different. You probably won't be watching my video anyway. Okay, so let's go. The collapse of the false lights. Why people could be starting to lose their minds. Because Neptune was in Pisces, and that brings delusion, escapism, and fantasy. When it's in Pisces, it's a dreamy thing. It's like you're not fully connected into your body, right? The UFO obsession started to take place. People are waiting on to be lifted up, or arcs coming from the bottom of, I don't know. There's an obsession with this. There's big conferences about it, right? Again, whatever floats your boat. QHHT dependence. Okay, so I did 2 levels of QHHT as a teacher, and I did this as a practitioner since 2013, and then I created my own way of doing it. I taught how to do my own way in semester 2, along with channeling and things like that at the Temple of the Flame Academy. However, it became a ridiculous sideshow. It became things, people were filming their clients and everybody's sitting there like, what they're going to say, what's the truth, what's the event, what's going to happen. It went nuts. To me, it was about healing and bringing the subconscious into a place of stability. It's exactly what this is. And when people couldn't do that, they would start to be looking outside of themselves. All of this was within, but it became something that people were depending on. Again, okay? There was a lot of false mediumship. There was a lot of people externalizing their power because their nervous system couldn't hold the truth, right? So mimic systems and fields became really strong between 2011 and 2024. That it was just running rampant. Everyone was looking for something to entertain outside of themselves. YouTube was relatively new. You know, there's a big thing that people could film things. You know, it's great. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't have found me. But the spiritual entertainment industry is dead now. So this includes the tarot session. Again, I don't care if you do tarot cards, obviously. If you do it with integrity, if you're trying to help someone, this is different than the pop-up things that I'm talking about. But people are obsessed with it. You know, when I stopped doing my little 1-minute messages of the day, everyone was just like, oh, go, I'm leaving. So I don't care. I can't be a part of that type of thing. I can give you guidance. I don't need cards to give you guidance, you see? It's not coming from a tool, it's coming from me. So, channeling counsels, copy and pasted starseed readings, false shamanism was also around. Like, you know, you go to see someone for Reiki or something like that, but they haven't even asked you about what you've already done, what you've been focusing on, how you like to do things, what traumas you have, what your childhood was like, anything. It's just, okay, lay out here, we'll do a ha-ha, off you go, come back next week. That's not what it is. Again, not talking about everybody, but certain people who won't be watching this video. So, why people feel empty after consuming this sort of stuff, right? You just feel lost and empty and you're looking for another thing. So, we are watching the extinction of this type of spirituality. The era of this mimic, of this falseness is over, okay? So, Neptune, Saturn, Aries, the end of the dream. So 0 degrees Aries is actually like the beginning of the zodiac, the first flame. 0 point identity, fire meeting reality, end of projection and start of, excuse me, start of embodiment. Saturn is the architect, the hard truth, okay? Accountability, pattern recognition, structures, how you do stuff, if you learn from stuff, and psychological clarity. So Saturn also forces us to look at ourselves. Okay, this is why people's Saturn returns, all hell breaks loose usually, because they got to learn something, right? Now, Neptune is the unseen, the illusions, the delusions, the collective unconscious, the spiritual fog. So when these two meet, the dream collapses, the dream world people have been in, the truth comes up, it has no choice. And every lie, personal, global, spiritual, is exposed. Everything. So for flame souls like you, what this means is sudden clarity, increased psychic accuracy, stronger boundaries. I bet you're just not the same. Like I said, you're just able to say stuff you couldn't do. Why? You're doing the work. You're opening up your own strong blueprint. That's what you're doing. People they don't like it, but it's their unhealed stuff that doesn't like it, right? We can't care. We must continue to forge ahead. So we're ending these old timelines instantly by saying to ourselves, what timeline am I opening thinking of that? Is that matching where I want to be? No tolerance at all for manipulation either. Now, on the top of this, we have Pluto in Aquarius, okay? The systems break up. And Pluto moves the collective in another way. So it's like technology, because it's in Aquarius, right? It's in technology, community, power redistribution. Whoops, something just came up. Okay, no big deal. Power redistribution. Elites losing control. Unveiling of hidden systems, right? Here it is. Pluto's pushing that on top of Saturn, top of the Neptune, right? Then the psychological warfare dissolves. People are waking up from this dreamlike Have you been wanting to shake someone in your life? Like for the last 20 years? Like, why don't you just wake up? This is it. You didn't have to do nothing. The universe is gone, God, now it's time. The propaganda is failing. You're just not gonna, we don't care. False light is collapsing. Broken trust in institutions and systems and leaders and who's this and who's that, he says and she says and all that. And a deep inner rebellion starts happening. So for me, my voice is going to be amplified. It's something that is big for me, and I've been holding a lot of stuff for a number of years. It's going to start coming out. People are going to finally understand the tone here. The message is going to start accelerating, perhaps. Guardians are stepping forward. We're going to get to know them all. We're opening stuff that haven't been opened in so long. And the mimic field falls away because it just can't track, right? Pluto in Aquarius gives the microphone back to the real ones. We're coming back to the front, everybody. Okay. I know. If you like Metallica, you get it. Right. Then the flame era begins. It's already begun, but it's going to get more intensified. So it's actually sovereign consciousness, building a strong foundation, internal authority. You start to check in with yourself before you make any decisions. You learn how to stabilize your nervous system. You gain control. Memory of other lifetimes will pop in. Okay. Pure signal, able to receive the message without the interference. Truth without all the distortion involved, right? Now, people can misunderstand this because they hear the flame as confrontation, but it's actually coherence. People who are in the mimic fields, they interpret truth as ego. A tone might expose this, and they react negatively sometimes to the flame because we are carrying architect frequencies here, right? So if you're in the flame frequency now, you are going to have a sudden no tolerance for bullshit. That's as nice as I can put it. Instant clarity about who's who, what they're saying, the little crappy stuff that they say in their texts or messages, or their, I don't want to hurt you, but I don't want to upset you, but I'm going to anyway, is what they're really saying. And this is how I really feel, and whatever. Psychic messages arriving without trying. You're just getting the memo, okay? You're feeling done with a lot of old tools, okay? Obviously, because you don't need them. You're feeling alone maybe, but really powerful in yourself. You really wish that people could understand this, what you're going through. The real role here is that you're not here to be entertainment either. You are here to just correct the field. You're correcting the field around us and, you know, bringing things back into this strong balance that it was 6,000 some years ago, and correcting that field by understanding your blueprint inside. Okay. Then this brings the guardians, the angels, the vaults activation. Okay. The mirror sentinels, the architect of vault 12, the black flame guardians, the choir of clear seeing, volts 1 through 111, you know, 222, 22, 333, 444, all of these different volts that are connected within you, but also connected with all you are, and connected with locations around the globe, and connected with cosmic locations as well. These things start to get understood and opened because we are ready for this information to come back to us. Again, this will be something that you learn. Or better yet, remember. Right. Guardians return because the world is returning to this truth. And you're not one of the few that... you are one of the few that can hold this frequency. Okay, once you've been learning about this, and you won't collapse. You're holding it. It naturally amplifies and spreads out. So the next 3 years, okay, this is like a timeline view, okay? The collapse of industries that were built on illusions, media systems fracturing, financial restructuring, new spiritual leadership emerging, more exposure of trafficking, corruption, dark programs, ritualistic events, what the real agendas were, you know, a whole lot. What happens is that psychic accuracy begins to skyrocket, false channels disappear, people lose taste for fake spirituality, and the demand for someone's integrity and sovereignty rises. You just don't want to see anything that is not hitting the spot, right? Flame teachers, flame bearers, people that you're going to understand your bigger roles, right? And it'll just be a natural progression to share it. Animals are doing a lot of this work as well. And what happens, right? What happens is things begin to grow in your life. Your authority becomes undeniable. The tone becomes clear, right? Not harsh, just clear. This is what it is. The community around you will strengthen because of this work that you're doing. Your protection will also just naturally increase. Your path separates permanently from this false energy and mimic world. So in this, if you've been really tired of how things have been for you, misunderstood, silenced, broke, whatever it is, it's because the things that you are built for, okay, that you came in here for really, is only beginning now, right? The message isn't late. It's right on time. This is all in alignment. And the world is finally entering a frequency where they can actually hear what's going on here, right? And they're literally seeing it. And now everyone's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And we've been sitting there saying, well, we couldn't believe it like 20 years ago when people wouldn't listen. We couldn't believe that. But now the evidence is in people's face, literally. It's kind of interesting that the technology is right there and you can just search up stuff. So if you dare, you know, it's very hard. So you are here to return to your flame, to the flame, right? So I also want to just quickly see something in here. As I was talking about Pluto, I thought, okay, let's see what the whole Pluto thing is. I may have read this before. So the idea of the ritual, okay, it actually really isn't Satan per se, since Satan is really nothing. It is Saturn that they are actually, and most likely Uranus and Pluto. Okay. So let's see here. Can Pluto be in here, please? Maybe not. Okay. Okay, there is something else in here though. But if you do want a deeper explanation on Pluto, this may be something that you may find yourself a little bit, it's a little bit of a read, but it's called Pluto, the Evolutionary Journey of the Soul. And what this does, actually this may tell us, what this does is explain on your birth chart, like, so when I was born in the 70s, okay, Pluto was in Libra. That's the same for all of you. But what you have to do, who are born in the 70s, what you have to do though is look at your natal chart and see what house that is. So for me, it was in my 5th house. I had Pluto there in my 5th house, right? But it's moved into Aquarius. So you could look at the houses in here for a more psychological, in-depth sort of view. And then you could look at what it means when it's in Aquarius, right? So it is quite a bit of a read. But it will explain what your soul evolution kind of is based upon. Okay, so that's a good one. And also I showed you the astrological history of the world. And when I was explaining this, I was talking about Saturn, Neptune in history. But we forgot there was 2020, right? Well, 2019, wasn't it? Right? With the COVID. So I know, let's just do it this way. So hang on a second. I know Saturn was involved in Capricorn, I believe. Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So Saturn-Pluto conjunction was in January 2020, which really pushed forward you see how what Saturn does? It brings up viruses. But it was with Pluto, and this conjunction was in January 2020, right? And it was in Capricorn. So it also, because of Capricorn, that has to do with bones and immune defenses as well. And its conjunction with Pluto is interpreted of the collapse of existing structures and a massive health crisis, because it was all going together, right? That was something I forgot to tell you. Also, Jupiter-Pluto conjunct April, June, and November in 2020. And Jupiter makes it bigger. You see, it expands it, right? So multiple conjunctions with Pluto in 2020 have amplified this spread, right? And then in December, the Saturn-Jupiter great conjunction here was also marking the beginning of a new 20-year cycle in Aquarius. And it also brought a shift in the world towards more technological solutions, such as what they're saying is the distribution and the development of vaccines, which came in and around November, December 2020. So other planetary influences were also present, like heavily in 2020, which brought the shifting. Okay, so that's why that sort of happens. This time though, with the Saturn Neptune in Aries, that's why I'm trying to explain that to you. I don't believe it's the same sort of thing as in a virus or something like that, but more that it would be people psychologically, or headaches, or things just going wrong for them in that way, eyes, head, all that sort of thing, and rage, inner rage, when you're not connected, right? You're not completely focusing on your stability. Okay, so this, I'm just saying that could happen to some people. Now, I want to explain something else here. In this book, all right, it talks about planetary gods. So when someone is actually doing a ritual and things, the reason why all of this has happened in the Epstein files isn't because just one guy is a nutcase. It is all because they believe in gaining power through these sacrifices and through these sexual events, right? Because of the worship of Saturn, not Satan. So let's say here, planetary gods. Okay, this has been around for a really long time. I'm not telling anyone anything new, but I want to read this real quick. They are personifications of idealized qualities of man, modes of existence, and the range of essential possibilities in behavior and knowledge. So since these gods are endowed with enviable powers, okay, and because Saturn is a time lord, wouldn't that be enviable to be able to travel through time at will? That's what they think, even though we can already do that. That's what they think. It's one thing they think. So, modes of existence and the range of essential possibilities in behavior and knowledge. So, since these gods are endowed with enviable powers and disport themselves upon a delectable field of action, they've come to symbolize the triumph of the particular principle pertaining to each one of them. Hence, they frequently appear in mythology in association with ideas of justice and the underlying laws governing life through the process of catastrophism. The major gods were projected into the heavens and identified with the sun, the moon, and the nearest 5 planets. This can be seen in the beginnings of astrobiological thought in Mesopotamia. For the Chaldeans, the astral bodies were living but divine beings, an idea which priests in clear though fragmentary form in Aristotle and throughout the Middle Ages in the Western world, as Sesnek has shown. The respective names of the gods among the Chaldeans, the Greeks, and the Romans were these. Shamash is the sun, Helios, Apollo, Sin, the moon, Artemis, Diana, Marduk, Zeus, Jupiter, Ishtar, Aphrodite, Venus, Nabu, Hermes, connected with Mercury, Nergal, Aries, Mars, Aries, Nergal, Ninib, Cronus is Saturn, and by virtue of the theory of correspondences, the relationships stemming from these gods embrace the world or almost the whole of the pattern of the universe. The planets constitute a particular order within the cosmos, and it's the business of science of astrology to study them from a naturalistic and mathematical point of view. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Right, so anyway, that just goes a little bit more into the planets here. Okay, so, and I do want to explain this to you just real quickly. The relationship of the planets to the 7 points in space is as follows. The sun is the zenith. Moon is the nadir. Mercury is the center. Venus is the west. Mars is the south. Jupiter is the east. Saturn is north. That's why they say as above, so below. That is not a spiritual saying, by the way. Okay? Ooh. the order in which astrology places the planets, taking the Earth as the center and then proceeding from the nearest to the farthest. Okay, here we go. Okay, so it hasn't been Satan that everybody's worshipping in that sense. It has been Saturn. I've known this for some time, but it's not something I could say. And they believe in what they're doing as much as we believe in not doing it, right? And they've gotten away with it secretly for so long. Many people don't actually survive if they come out and talk about it, if they come out and share it, right, as we know, or they could quickly shut down. As we move through this dissolving of all things that are false, this will have more exposure than anything else, and people will start to understand that, as I have said for a very long time, it's the children that are going to need the help. There are many that are born into this, and many who are handled in a certain way and taught in a certain way through torture and trauma, and it's not something that nobody wants to really look at, but it's something that's real nonetheless. This will also be shown to you through the energy of religion and the churches and etc., where you will see the involvement here and what's really going on. Even though some people have these suspicions, the truth is even far worse than what you can imagine. And this will go on and on and on into these different sectors of life where we've been told one thing and it's actually completely the opposite. So be aware that as these things pull down, it's going to be even more important to remain completely in tune with your own stability. And this is going to bring in the era of flame psychology. There will be more and more that I'm going to be able to share with you. And I like to do it in a course structure because that way I can just explain it all, give you PDFs, get it out, get it going. You're starting to work with it. I can help more people. So Satan, I really feel that the world will see that also. It doesn't mean that with this conjunction that's happening with Neptune that all of a sudden we're becoming Saturnists, okay? We're using it in the positive sense. We're looking at the structures. We're also looking at the subconscious energy that we hold, and we're holding ourselves to task for stuff that we wanted to learn and bringing ourselves into a brand new cycle. Okay, with this comes this honesty that you have to have with yourself. The ability for you to actually be true to who you really are for once in your life. This is going to force this upon you. You're going to have no time for sarcasm, for people who are passive aggressive, for people who secretly hate you and just pretend. It's just gone. And in fact, those people won't have access because your boundaries are going to be so super strong. As we move through the flame and this awakens, you know, and I'm speaking of the end of illusions, you're just going to see it like a domino going down, 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 especially as February moves into March, etc. We start seeing more and more and more things, and Uranus and Gemini is coming up, I believe, in April. So this will just spark even more information, okay? So nothing enters the field without your consent. We revoke any invisibility. We are seen for who we are sovereign, we are protected, and we move forward fearlessly. So thanks for having a listen. If there's something else that you're particularly interested in, please let me know. I'll create something around that for you if you like. Otherwise, join my webinars, come see me live. And through February going into March, I'll be doing a 4-week live weight and body reset. This is fantastic because you start to extract from your energy field the things that were holding you back from being in perfect balance, both energetically and physically. Okay, so maybe this will be helpful for you. I'll put links and things below. All right, till the next video. Thanks for sticking around. Happy Friday. Bye for now.